The Canon R10 with the 18 to 150mm lens is one of the best and most versatile compact systems you can shoot today, and we're extremely excited to be offering it with a new integrated fiber optic system. Let me show you how to put it together. First things first, we have our camera body. Make sure you have a full battery and an SD card installed. But before we get to the camera body, let's turn our attention to the 18 to 150mm lens. You'll notice that when you remove the cap on the front, that it does have lettering, albeit faint. What I like to do is take the included anti-reflection ring and put that onto the lens. That reduces any chances of the sunlight coming through the port, hitting those letters, reflecting off, and then showing up in your image by reflecting off the dome on the inside. So that'll help with this, and we'll follow it up with the diopter, which will just simply thread onto the end. Okay, so to install the anti-reflection sticker, we're going to do this one time, so just take your time and make sure that it is applied evenly and is actually going to cover the letters properly. So we're going to align it on the outside diameter here. And then what I like to do at this point is to simply just walk it around the circumference. Once I'm happy with the placement and I'm not blocking the lens, I'll take a lens cloth and just wipe off anything that I may have gotten on the lens that could affect my images. And I'm going to follow that by adding the diopter to the end of the lens, and that's simply a threaded diopter. So find your thread, make sure you don't cross thread it, it's fine. Once you find it by backing off and hearing the click, just tighten it down. And that's all you need to do to get your lens ready to go. Next thing you do is keep your camera body, remove the body cap, remove the cap off the back of the lens, keep those with your spare parts, and simply bayonet the lens onto the camera body like you normally would. That's ready to go. Now we can install the camera and lens together into the housing. The housing will come fully assembled. You have your fiber optic transmitter on the top here. Port is pre-installed, gear sleeve is inside pre-installed, and you have it covered with the port cover. So what you're going to want to do is take the housing, put it down on its face like so, unlock the lid hook, lid snap on both sides, and then lift up and over those hooks. That will allow you to take the back off, set that to the side. And if we take a look on the inside of the housing, we have direct drive controls. I'm going to make sure that the back button is up and out of the way, that I don't have anything else protruding in. I'll take that hub control, move it up and out of the way. On the inside, we have the camera mount that's going to attach to the camera itself. And then you have the battery pack for the fiber optic transmitter. Now, before we put the camera in here, I'm going to go ahead and put two CR2032 batteries into this compartment, and I'm going to turn it on. So to open the back, you simply just lift the lid. That'll expose the contacts. And I'll take my two CR2032 batteries. The polarity is important here. On the end that is closest to the wires and the switch, I'm going to have the positive side of the battery facing up. And its neighboring battery, I'm going to have the negative side of the battery facing up. From that point, I can just simply close the compartment. And then you'll notice there is a switch on the back. If I push the switch towards the wires, that activates it and turns it on, providing power to that transmitter. Now I can simply just take this compartment, put it back in its press-fit cradle in the ceiling of the housing. From here, I'm going to remove the camera mount, set my housing to the side, grab my camera, align the screw with the port on the bottom of the camera, and I'm going to use a flat-headed screwdriver to snug this up. It's important to make sure this is pretty snug. Any movement between these two pieces will translate to misalignment of control. So make sure that's nice and snug on there. Another nice feature of this is there is a 1/4-20 hole in the bottom of this mount, so I could put this entire thing on a tripod and essentially keep this on here at all times. Turning our attention back to the inside of the housing, you'll notice that you have a hot shoe, and this hot shoe is going to, of course, plug into the top of the camera right here, like so. Make sure it's slid all the way forward, making good contact with the camera. And you have a friction fit sleeve that's going to slide around this lens. So what we're going to do is simply align the camera mount with the base inside the housing. We're going to make sure our wires are out of the way. Slowly slide the camera forward. You're going to feel the friction of the gear sleeve around the lens. And then just slowly and carefully slide the camera all the way forward. Rock your AF on control back down. Check your lever switch here. Check your hub control. And then what we're going to do is take the time, make sure your sealing surface is clean, free of debris. This is a compression seal, so you don't need any lubricant here. So do make sure that it is clean, but don't apply any extra lubricant. Oftentimes it won't hurt anything, but it will attract extra debris, extra hair. So it's best to just make sure it's clean and no need to lubricate it. Then simply realign the back to the front. Lift your two locking lid snaps over the hooks of the back, and then you can simultaneously push them down into place, hear them lock, pull up on the levers to make sure that they are indeed locked, recheck all of your controls, and you can take the time, remove your port cover from the front of the port, and you can check the zoom gear is actuating the lens. It is. All of our control surfaces are making proper contact. And then when we take a picture with the camera, we can do a couple of things. We can check to make sure that we have the battery installed. We can check to make sure that we have an SD card. And we can look and see when we actuate the frame that both LEDs in the top of the transmitter are pulsing a red pulse. It is worth noting that if you're shooting the 18 to 45 millimeter lens, that everything that I just discussed here as far as an order of operations and assembly is going to be the exact same. Now that I've checked all my control surfaces, made sure everything's functioning, I have an SD card and a fully charged battery, the last step I need to do to the housing is go ahead and create a vacuum inside of it. Now to do that, I'm going to push the button here, which will release the plug from the valve. And then I will take the barb from the pump and insert it into that valve. You'll hear it click into place. And then using the hand pump, I'm going to pump the hand pump until I create a vacuum. Now the number that we choose here is not going to be as critical as the fact that the needle isn't moving. I will like to go to 10 or 15. Just in my mind, I'm going to choose that number. I'm going to create this vacuum. When you create this vacuum, it's important that you don't hit the release lever on the bottom of the pump, because if you do, it will release the vacuum and kind of undo some of the work you just did. So be mindful of that. And when you do push that, make sure that you push it only halfway. If you push it all the way and it reseats and holds the vacuum. So I'm going to pump this to 15 and then we'll check it from there. Okay, I've hit my target of 15. The first thing I'm going to do is just watch the needle. I want to make sure that it's not dropping. If it's dropping gradually, that means I have a compromised seal somewhere and I need to do an investigation. I'm holding just fine at 15 at initial glance, and that lets me know that the entire system is holding a vacuum. Now, ideally, you could do this the night before and you'd have everything ready to go and you have it set next to the door so you can just grab it on your way out to the next dive. That being said, that's not an ideal world that we live in, so you may only have 20-30 minutes. Give yourself 20-30 minutes to check the system, make sure it's held the vacuum for that time period. Now, since I'm not diving with the pump itself, I kind of want to do that test without this as part of the equation. So I'm going to remove the pump by pressing the button, and I'll reinstall the plug. And again, whether this was to sit overnight or for that 20-30 minutes that you have, what you're trying to do is to make sure that it held at that 15. So when we re-plug in our pump, it's going to jump right back to where it was. There will be a slight differential because of the air that's in the tube itself, but you should be back to about where you were. And just one more point on this is, a lot of people ask us, well, do I release the vacuum before I go diving? No, make sure that you are actually diving with this under a vacuum. It doesn't hurt anything. And as a matter of fact, it's going to reinforce all of your mechanical closing features here of the housing. So after we've let that time elapse, I'm going to rehook up my pump and check to make sure that I've held this vacuum. Again, push the button, remove the cap, replace it with the barbed end, and check. I'm right back to where I left off, minus half of a tick because of the air that was in the tube. I'm good to go. I know that this held a vacuum and I'm safe to go diving. Push the button, release the barb. Always make sure that you replace the barb with the cap. You want to make sure that when you get in the water that this cap is in place, fully inserted. And there you go. I have my system ready to go. I'm ready to go diving. I'm ready to add strobes. We can do that in another video. If you have any questions about this setup, please drop us a comment down below or shoot us an email to ikelite@ikelite.com.